Hello there. This is my floor stretch class, and this class could be done all on its own, about half an hour of gentle stretching followed by a little bit of relaxation. Or if you prefer, you could bolt it onto the back of one of the other classes. For example, the more active floor class. This would be a good way of winding down after that class. Or you could add it onto one of the standing classes and do it as your floor work at the end, and again finish with a little bit of relaxation when you get to the end of this. I'm going to use a few little bits of equipment in this class. I haven't got any proper yoga equipment other than my mat, because I'm thinking maybe at home we haven't either. So I've got a rolled up towel, which I'm going to use later. Use a blanket, but it wants to be reasonably substantial. I've folded up another towel to make a little block for sitting on or resting the head on. I've got a scarf instead of a strap or a belt. And I've got a pile of pillows and cushions, which I shall pop in when I feel they would make me more comfortable in some of the poses. So that some of the poses I can give a little bit more of a yin yoga feel to, actually relaxing into the poses and using supports and comfortable props so that the body can really rest and deeply stretch. So I'm going to start off with just a few little mobility movements to get the body working. So I'm going to bring my legs in front of you with the knees bent and go into windscreen wipers. So literally just hands on the floor and rocking the knees from side to side. Looking away from the legs. Now you can do this with your knees together, or you can do it with your knees wider. And you can make it small, or you can make it quite big. See how it's feeling. Good. Let's do 6 more. Lovely. Bring the legs up in front of you, and you can have a bend in your knee, and just give yourself a great big hug. When you breathe in, think about your chest trying to reach beyond your knees, and when you breathe out, just think about that hug. Also, press back through your tailbone so your lower back begins to feel a little bit longer. And of course, if you want to take the bend out of your legs, feel free. I'm still going to give myself a hug though, just gently. So drawing in nice long in-breaths to lengthen the spine, and breathing out slowly and completely to hug on in. Let's do a couple more. Coming on up and bending the knees again. Taking the hands back behind you like we did before, and really opening up the chest now. So I'm going to squeeze the shoulder blades in towards the spine and open up through the front of the chest. Feeling the height in the chest when I breathe in. And release. Good. Just lengthen your legs and take a little stretch to one side, and then over to the other side. So I'm going to go into a seated twist. If you find these work better for you in a class and you sit on a yoga block, maybe use your little towel to perch the edge of your hips onto, so that you can feel that your hip bones then rock forwards, bringing your pelvis into more of an upright positioning. And then bend the leg that's nearest to me and bring your foot as close up towards the groin as you can. And then if you want to, just cross that leg over. So the arm that's nearest to me goes round behind. I'm going to hold this leg in position here. I'm going to take a deep breath and lift up through the sternum. And as I breathe out, use my shoulder girdle to turn. So I'm looking back now towards my shoulder, feeling really long up through the back of the neck and through the crown of the head. Using those in-breaths to really find as much length through the spine as possible, and the out-breaths to help me develop the rotation through the spine. You can draw this leg in a little bit closer if you like, to increase the stretch to the side of your hip. Let's take another couple of breaths. And release. Good. Just bring the legs back in front of you to staff pose. Hands by the side of the hips, shoulders back and down, and just let the heels press away from you. Feeling really tall and very centered. So this time bend the leg that's furthest away from me, and if you like, cross it over the top. I'm going to turn, but you don't need to. So we'll take the hand, same arm as leg, take the hand behind us. We'll lift up as we breathe in, and then as we exhale, we're going to turn with the shoulders. Draw the navel in towards the spine and look back over your shoulder. Again, try and grow as tall as you can every time you inhale. And then every now and again on the out breath, if you feel you can, find yourself developing that rotation through the spine. Try not to let your pelvis rock back. You may need to bring your hand in a bit closer and feel like your hip bones down there are lifting up and slightly pressing forwards towards this leg. And then if you want to stretch the outside of this hip a bit more, just draw that leg slightly further across you and come back into your twist. Just taking another couple of breaths. And returning to Dandasana. Just sitting really tall, very open, very lifted and centered. Going to take our legs into a wide position now. So you take the legs just about as far as they'll comfortably go. And then again, if you prefer, just pop that little pad underneath the back of your hips so you can rock your hip bones forward and feel them quite lifted up. So I'm going to take a stretch. I'm just going to rest my hand against this leg and I'm going to stretch over my head with the other arm. I'm not twisting at the moment. We will do a bit of twisting with this pose, but not quite yet. Just taking a side reach. When you breathe in, feel lots of length coming over you with that top arm. Let's change sides. Breathing in and stretching over as you breathe out. It would be very easy to feel that the spine was collapsing with this pose. So when you breathe in, keep the length, and then on the out breaths, this side where you're moving in towards your leg, you're contracting your waist, and of course, therefore on this side, you're really stretching. Breathe into the ribs here at the side where they're really opening. Stretch them. And last breath on this side. So, the leg we went to first, let's turn round towards that leg and pop a hand down either side of it. And then moving forwards from the hip, let's just lengthen our body forwards towards this leg. Now you can bring your hands slightly further forwards. Feel like your spine is really long. And again, each in-breath, we're lengthening. And out-breath, we're closing this gap between the belly and the leg. Some of us might come down quite a lot deeper. Some of us might prefer to stay a little bit higher. Just check your shoulders are nice and relaxed. So just let your hands rest. You can hold your foot if you want to, or rest your hands on your shin. And relax your face and your jaw. Good. Let's take a turn towards the other leg. So coming round, one hand either side, stretch, and then find the out breath to help you rest. You may find that the other hip, the one you're turning away from, is trying to lift up. Try to keep it down, yeah, so we can benefit from the stretch that we're getting through the sides and the back of the body. And again, find those places where you really can relax, where your body isn't needing to work, but it might be trying to. Come in deeper if you like. Extend when you breathe. Exhale as you rest down. And when you're ready, let's breathe in and rise. So let's flow. So we're going to pick up this arm and we're going to take it across towards the opposite foot. And then we're going to reach towards each other as we come round to this foot and then sit back up. So we'll start with this arm and we'll turn, so a little twist, reach for the opposite foot, push your hips back and reach your chest forwards, and then just bring that hand to rest so you can start again with this one. So inhale, reach for the foot, exhale, breathe in, reach for the foot, and exhale. So some of us doing this might prefer to keep things a little bit higher, like you're dusting some shelves, but they're not particularly low shelves, so they're just a little tip forwards. Some of us might feel that we're happy to come down deeper, like we're giving the floor a wash. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Do that one more time, breathing in and breathing out. Good. And now we're just going to stay in the middle. If you feel that you've lost the stretch and you just want to move your hips slightly further forward so the stretch reawakens, then do. And then this is to add a sort of yin yoga feeling to this pose. You can put an enormous, take everything off the sofa and then rest into it. And then you just let go. You want to let your body just sink into the softness of the pillows or the cushions or the rolled up blankets that you've got in front of you. Just let that stretch gradually come in. Think of your in-breaths lasting for a count of 4. And breathe out for 4. If you've had your head turned in one direction, turn it the other way, just so your neck feels the same on both sides. And continue with those lovely, steady 4 count in and out breaths, maybe 3 more times. Just feeling the weight of your body sinking further forwards. Some of you might be feeling now that you could get a bit closer towards the ground, so you could maybe take some of the pillows out, only if it feels good. So just finishing off with another couple of breaths, just trying to let go. I won't tell you where to feel the stretch because I'm sure you can feel it. And when you feel ready, come on up. So let's bring our legs together. And if you want to bend your knees a little bit, feel free. You could, if you like, pop your rolled up towel under your thighs and that will keep your knees bent for you. We're going to go into a forward fold, or caterpillar as we call it in yin yoga. And you can use a scarf if you like around your legs. You can also sit on your little pad again to make the hip bones tip forwards. It's always good with these folds. So take a breath and lift, and as you breathe out, just tip forwards. Now if you're using a strap to actively hold you in position, just check, just bend the elbows, just check that it's not sending tension up into the shoulders, which of course usually ends up with the jaw becoming tense as well. So literally just drawing back your elbows, but keeping the shoulders nice and soft. Drawing the belly in really far and stretching forwards and then letting go. Now you can stay with this. You can wrap your hands around your feet if you like, or just rest your hands on your legs. Or again, if you wanted to take more of a yin yoga approach to this, you could do what we did a moment or two ago. Get a great big pile and then give them a big hug and rest. Think of the length in your lower back. Feel like your hip bones are taking a little crawl forwards, and then they want to rest down. And then every now and again they want to move forwards again. Breathe in and rest down. If you've been holding pillows and your head's been turned in one direction, just turn it the other way. We'll take about 3 more breaths. Really open up your back when you breathe in. Feel the breath stretching you open all across the back of the body. Good. So we're going to bring ourselves down onto the ground now. So I'm going to put those bits and bobs to one side. Have your rolled up towel handy, and if you prefer to have your head on support, then you can have your little folded blanket to pop your head on. Coming down with bent knees onto the back, and the leg closest to me, just pop the foot on the other leg's knee, just behind the knee, on the thigh, and then let your arms rest out and start to roll your hips from side to side. Look away from the legs. Good. And then we're going to stay with the legs like this and come into a figure of 4 stretch. So this is a stretch for this hip here. So we need to bring this leg, the leg that's furthest away from me, in towards us. Now, I've just linked up my fingers behind my thigh. If your thigh feels a bit too far away from you, get your scarf again, works quite well if it's shorter, so double it up, thread it through the window, and then you can bring your elbows back to the floor and hold your leg in position like this. Try to relax this hip as much as you can to allow the stretch to happen. And then, so you really do look like a number 4, if you wish, this is optional, you can lengthen that leg up towards the ceiling. So the closer that this folded leg comes in towards us, the bigger the stretch to the hip. This is a variation of pigeon or swan that we quite often do in hatha yoga. You could, of course, if you wanted to, put your scarf around that foot and draw yourself in closer like this. Or maybe some of you might be able to reach your hands round to this leg and draw it in. So really think about letting go on the out breaths. Your legs up here, of course you'll be stretching your hamstrings as well. Great. Let's come on down. We'll put this foot that's been lifted on the floor, and then the other one comes towards me. So the sole of your foot is pointing towards me. And then take your arms wide and begin to rock like we did before. And if you remember, I was saying, take your head the opposite way. So wherever your leg wants to go, your head wants to look away. And your shoulders are relaxed on the ground. So we're not going to let the shoulders lift. Just a couple more. And back to the centre. So with this foot staying just behind the knee there on the thigh, this is the leg that's going to come in, the one that's supporting the foot. So if you like, link your fingers. Or do you remember I was saying about doubling up your scarf and putting that around the back of your leg? And then once you've got your leg in position, either with the scarf or the hands, try to relax the shoulders. Hands have to feel quite strong, but that doesn't mean your shoulders need to feel tense. And then just be aware of the stretch that's beginning to develop in this foot's hip down there. And of course, stay with this. If you feel that that's enough for you, then this is where you need to be. But possibly we could think about lengthening this leg up. And last time I put my scarf around that foot, if you remember. Stay here, or you can go over the top. Hold on, I think maybe even hold on to a big toe maybe if you've got long arms. And let's just breathe into that stretch in our hip. Trying to let go of any tension on the out breaths. Just a couple more breaths. And then come on down. Good. And let's just let our feet go a little bit wider and our knees drop in towards each other. So you feel that your hips are rotating inwards as opposed to outwards where they've just been. And just let your legs rest like that. You can even gently press your knees together if you like. And release. Take a nice big full body stretch. Stretch your arms right up above your head and press down through your heels so the backs of your legs feel like this. So, we're just going up into a gentle bridge a couple of times. So bring the heels in nice and close. And peel your spine slowly off the floor, nodding in your chin and lengthening through your thighs at the top. Take a nice breath and then breathe out and ease yourself back down in towards the ground. Peel up. and just flow back down. Couple more times. Try to make your tailbone wait to come back down onto the ground. Tucking your chin, chest moving over, thighs lengthening, hip bones lifting. Now make the tailbone wait. See if every other vertebra can have its moment coming to the floor before eventually you let your tailbone come down. Let's do that one more time. So just flow up and wind down. Great. Now grab your towel, your rolled up towel, and lift your hips up and just slide the towel under the lower part of your hips. Not quite on your bottom, but underneath the sacrum, the flat part of the lower back. So my tailbone is just beyond. If this isn't comfortable, please just rest your back on the ground. You can still do these stretches there. Now I'm going to draw in the leg that's nearest to you and give it a bit of a hug, and I'm going to let the other leg lengthen away from me, and it can either just hover, or if you find your foot can gradually drop down to the ground, then let it do that. So what we're feeling, hopefully on the front of both of our hips, is quite different. This hip, the one we're holding, we're drawing this one in to compress the front of the hip, but the lengthened leg is stretching the hip flexor muscles where the leg joins the body. Let your hips feel quite heavy resting on that towel. Good. Let's just change sides. So bring this other knee in and hold it, and then swap over. So that leg might just be hovering or resting the heel down onto the ground. Drawing this leg in and then feeling this stretch here. Feeling that you're holding this leg here, but otherwise everything is resting in this position. Now I'm going to bring this knee in as well. So it's like holding my knees into my chest like I might do on the mat, but I'm letting my knees come further over now because of the angle of the hips with this blanket here. You can give yourself a really nice big hug in here to stretch your lower back. I think it's quite a nice place to stay, really, if you want to stay here. Or I'm not going to go into a shoulder stand, but I am going to lengthen my legs up and allow them the natural weight just to come over. And you can hold them there if you want to, or you can rest your arms on the ground if you prefer. Try to let your legs, if you're going for this option, feel almost weightless, and just hopefully you'll find that gravity is just making them want to drop in towards you. You're not actually having to push them there. They do it of their own accord. So we'll just take about 4 more breaths here. But remember, if you'd rather hug the legs, do. If you'd rather have the legs bent, then do. And if you prefer, put both of your feet back on the ground again and take the blanket away. So we'll bring the feet back down onto the ground slowly, one at a time, and then we'll take this support away. I'm going to roll over onto my front now and lay on my tummy. And I'm going to have my arms extended in front of me with my elbows down. My elbows and my hands are in line with my shoulders. And then I'm going to lower down. Now as I breathe in, I'm going to lengthen forward through my chest and pop my arms back in again. And I'm going to breathe out and lower. So So on the in-breath, I'm rising. On the out-breath, I'm relaxing back down. Now, if you feel this is quite comfortable and you feel you could bring your hands closer, then do, so that when you come onto your elbows, you'll feel a little bit higher up. So this is a Sphinx. And some of you might feel you'd rather just have the odd rest, come up and down, or you might like to stay here now. So I'm completely supported by my elbows. You can, if you like, take more of a yin yoga approach to this one and pop some cushions maybe underneath your ribs and then come into this position. And that's really quite restful. Let the pelvis feel quite heavy. Let go. But just check you're not disappearing into your shoulders. So although we want to feel quite rested in this pose, we still want to feel the chest is coming out and up. Now please stay in this pose if you've got any lower back issues. But if you're really very comfortable here and you'd just like a little bit extra, turn your toes out and take your feet a tiny little bit wider. So your toes are pointing out and your heels are pointing in. This is seal. So those are your flippers down at the far end. And then you need some flippers at the front. So you take your arms a little bit wider and then you can lengthen and bend. Now if you find this is too much, please feel free to give this one a miss. Take a breath and breathe out. I'm just going to do that 3 more times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And last time, breathing in and breathing out. I'm just going to roll to the side so I can take the pillows away. And then I'm bending the leg that's nearest to you and just letting my whole leg and foot rest on the floor and turning my face in the same direction. So knee, face towards me. And then we'll do the opposite. So straighten that leg out, bend the other one and turn to look away from me. Allow your hips to feel nice and relaxed. Let go of all your lower back muscles. Good. Let's come back onto our backs again. We need to support our heads. So this is where we use that little folded towel. Pop that in, like a yoga block. Roll over towards me. Make sure you've got a gap between your ear and your shoulder. And your top leg comes down in front of you. Now, you may find as you progress with this, this is going to be cat pulling its tail, or some people call this the bretzel. You can rest your leg on a pillow if you like, and you can make it higher by folding it over. The leg that's behind you, I'm going to take my top arm round and hold my foot. Now, if you can't quite hold your foot, get that scarf and wrap it around your ankle and hold on to that instead. Okay? So I'm going to take that back knee back a little bit, and I'm going to take a nice big breath and turn as I breathe out to look behind me. I'm going to let this front hand, the one that wasn't doing anything, rest on that leg to hold it in position. And I'm slightly squeezing that foot in towards my bottom, this one here, squeezing it in towards my bottom, so I can feel a stretch in the front of my thigh. And I'm trying to keep that foot, this one here, quite low. Bring it to the ground if you can. And you're looking back either up to the ceiling or over towards the back of the room. Now it's a twist. So lengthen when you breathe in, and when you breathe out, let the twist happen. So this shoulder that's attached to your cat's tail that you're pulling is the one that wants to melt back towards the ground. And this knee here at the front wants to hold its position, either on your supporting pillow or down on the ground, and this hand's helping it. I should take a couple more breaths. And release. Come back to the centre, take your arms wide and just take a gentle rock from side to side. So you lose that feeling of twisting in one direction and your body feels pretty much the same on both sides. Then turn away from me. So bring your top leg onto the ground in front of you and hold it in position with your hand, maybe putting a pillow under your knee. And then behind you, just bring up the foot, hold onto the foot, or wrap your scarf around your ankle and hold on to that instead. And squeeze your heel in towards your bottom whilst keeping your front knee either on its pillow or on the ground. And then lengthen up through the middle of your chest when you breathe in, and when you breathe out, just feel that shoulder trying to melt towards the ground. Letting go completely on your exhalations. A couple more breaths. And back to the centre. Have your little roll again from side to side. Just comfortable. And then we're going to finish off with a hamstring stretch. So we're going to use first of all the leg that's nearest to me, and you can of course use your scarf if you'd like to. Draw that leg in towards you. Try to keep your tailbone down on the ground and keep the leg nice and long without it shaking. So if you need to, move it a little further away. If you need to keep this other leg bent, of course you can, but you may be able to lengthen it out. And make sure again, like I said earlier, that the shoulders stay relaxed, even though the hands are engaged in drawing the leg in towards you. Of course you don't need to use a strap if you don't want to. You hold onto your leg instead. Now I'm just going to develop this slightly. So I'm going to lift this leg that I've got lying on the ground just an inch or two. And I'm going to draw this leg closer in towards me as I slide my ribs towards my hips in order to lift my shoulders. I've just drawn my chin back in towards me slightly. If it's all feeling good apart from the neck, why not hold this leg with one hand and pop the other hand behind your head. Actively reach through this leg down here, it's quite low, and then draw this one in towards you when you breathe out. A couple more breaths. And rest. And then we'll do the same with the other leg. So, use your scarf if you prefer. Hold here, hold here, hold here if you like. If you're happy to lengthen your leg, do. And please feel free to stay where you are if you'd rather. But if you just want to develop it, I'm going to lift that extended leg and just hover. I'm going to nod in my chin, Slide the ribs to the hips and draw in a little closer. And again, if needs be, just support the head. Or leave the head down if you prefer. Come to here. You don't want to feel your backs arching. And sometimes when you're in this position and your head goes down, the waist wants to lift. So just try and avoid that if you can. Couple more breaths. And then rest. Just bring your knees into you. You can hug them. You can just hold them. That's a very restful position to be in. Just take a few nice deep breaths. And then get yourself ready for some relaxation. If you want to keep your knees bent, you could find your rolled up towel. You could add to that if you wanted to. You could put a cushion on top and let your legs rest. So you can keep that little bend in your knee. You can support your head on your block. And then you might want to cover yourself over. Just to keep a bit warmer as your body winds down. So, time to let go. Allow gravity to draw you closer to the centre of the earth. Let your body feel heavy and rested. Breathe in full and deep, and breathe out slow and long. Be aware of your head. Let go of the weight of your head. Let it rest completely. Be aware of your face, your brow, your cheeks, your mouth, and your jaw. Just release any tension. Let your face become passive and devoid of expression. Relax the tops of your shoulders. Let them spread into the ground and let go. Relax your right arm from your shoulder, through your elbow, and all the way down to your hand. Relax your left arm, all the way from your shoulder, down through your elbow, and to your hand. Think of your upper back becoming heavier. And now think of the lower part of your back, from your waist down to your tailbone. Feel like you're spreading out and sinking every time you breathe out. Let your hips feel as heavy as they'd like to be. Think about your right hip particularly, and deep within your right buttock. Just let go. And now focus on your left hip and your left buttock, and just release completely so the hips feel level and heavy. And now think about your right leg from your hip through your knee to your foot. Let go. And now your left leg from your hip through your knee and down to your foot. Relax completely. When you breathe in, feel open across your chest, like a weight's been taken off your chest. You feel open, you feel confident, you feel relaxed. When you breathe in, feel the cage of your ribs expanding to create space for your lungs. And feel how they draw around and give you a hug when you're breathing out. And now think of drawing your breath right down into your belly and allow your abdomen to rise when you inhale. And then just draw back in towards you when you're ready to breathe out again. Feel your body making space to draw in full, deep breaths. And then releasing and softly allowing that breath to drift away from you. Breathe in now as we did in class for 4 counts. And see if you can extend your out-breath to 6 counts. Very relaxed. Allow your body to become heavier still on those long exhalations. As we take a few more breaths, perhaps you may be able to extend your out-breath to 8 counts. Breathing in for 4 counts as before. Just slowing down those out-breaths a tiny bit more. No effort. Everything is rest. Feeling peace all around you. Feeling peace within. A clear mind, a rested body. And now, allow yourself to become a little more aware. First of all, aware of what you can hear. Allow your mind to paint pictures of what it is you can hear. Then what is your skin feeling? The mat beneath you, fabrics against your skin, and the temperature of the air brushing against your skin. Be aware how your body's feeling now. So So very slowly we're going to begin to waken ourselves. First of all by thinking about our toes and beginning to move them slowly. And then in a similar way we'll think about our hands and start to move our fingers and thumbs. Be aware now of how your back is feeling. Do you feel the need to lengthen yourself right out into a full body stretch like we did earlier? If you do, just have a really good stretch with your arms above your head, lengthening down through your legs. And then maybe we can all slowly bend our knees. And once the feet are back on the ground and the knees are bent, we might like to roll our hips from side to side, possibly drawing the knees in towards the chest. Once the back feels comfortable, slowly roll your body over onto the right hand side. If your eyes have been closed, open them and gradually bring yourself back up to sit again. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.